If our soils are degraded and can no longer yield, and there is no more food grain left in the world, what will we eat? Hello and welcome, I'm Sadhika Tiwari and you're watching Eco India. Given climate change and the threat that it poses to agriculture, these doomsday worries do not seem quite so remote, especially now that we can see conventional ways of farming failing farmers across the globe. But new and innovative methods have come up with a lot of hope, and that's what we will see on our episode today. The biggest challenge that the farmers are now facing is erratic and unpredictable weather. From one season to next, they no longer know when to sow, whether they will have to deal with a drought or will their fields be flooded. But what if they had precise, detailed information about the microclimate of their farm? Could they then make informed decision, especially with high-value crops that can cause a lot of losses? An agri-tech company based out of India from Bangalore is making this dream a reality.
36-year-old Somnath Kavale is a third-generation grape farmer. Each year, over 1 million tons of grapes are grown on farms like this one in western India's Nashik district. Last year's unseasonal hailstorms destroyed 40,000 hectares of plantations. Fortunately, his farm survived. Still, he knows only too well what it means to lose everything to unpredictable weather.
In 2017, there was a thunderstorm in the region that no one saw coming. The grapes were in the flowering stage. I couldn't do any spraying because of the excessive rainfall. The farm was flooded, so I couldn't use the tractor. 100% of my crops were destroyed, and it took me 2 years to recover those losses.
For many years, the biggest concern for farmers in the region was the dwindling water supply. They switched to drip irrigation to make water distribution more efficient. The steps they took to make do with the reduced water supply have helped, but farmers continue to struggle to adapt to the accelerating change in weather and climate patterns.
In the past, for earlier generations, weather conditions were predictable and easier to gauge. But the environment has changed dramatically and it has increased our challenges. For example, yesterday it was hot and today it is cold. These fluctuating conditions affect the grapes. We don't know when to expect the rains.
To help him navigate the changing climate, Kavale has turned to state-of-the-art agricultural technology. A team from the startup Fasal is helping farmers in India's grape belt secure their crops. An array of sensors set up at different places on the farm beam data to this solar-powered tower.
These are the two sensors in the ground. One is 15 inches deep and the other is 24 inches deep inside. They are able to tell me how much soil moisture is there and how much water I should be using to irrigate the field.
The system uses real-time data to give forecasts about the microclimate around the farm, monitor the crop for pests and diseases, and improve the precision of fertilization and irrigation. With help from the new smart farming system, Kavale has been able to more than double his yield. Encouraged by such results, neighboring farmers are also turning to precision farming. But for many, the expense remains a hurdle.
If we want to work on a large scale, then we have to be competitive. I have sold the system for between 500 to 800 euros. I do believe people want to adopt this technology.
The company is convinced that the increased productivity can more than make up for the upfront costs of the system.
What we have seen, people or the farmers who have been using fossil, on an average, they see, decrease in their cost of cultivation to the extent of 50% in case of, very high value crops like grapes and pomegranate.
For farmers across India, reliable information that's available in their native language makes all the difference. They used to rely on experience to decide when to water and fertilize their crops. Now, they wait for alerts from an app to tell them when it's time to intervene. Founder Anand Verma and his team know that if they want to transform the diverse forms of agriculture in India, they need to fine-tune their technology based on input from the farmers.
The solution that we are building are very, very crop-centric. It takes time for us to understand the crop, its life cycle, its disease and pest, its irrigation pattern, and then build and validate the solution for one crop.
Plot number 2, plot number 3. और ये common है plot number 4.
In Nashik district, more and more farmers are embracing precision farming. Chandrasekhar Rao is now able to use his Internet of Things enabled system to moderate his water delivery based on precisely measured crop growth.
Soil moisture में पहले मैं
Earlier, I would use my judgment and irrigate the farm every 3 to 4 days. But after setting up the phasal device, I get an alert on soil moisture levels, and it might show that it doesn't need water for another 8 days.
soil moisture आने के बाद मतलब बिठाने के बाद मैंने जो soil
So,
moisture
my water management has improved and my usage is down by more than half.
अभी आता है मेरा वैसे 8 दिन में आता है मतलब
This saves me considerable sums of money as well as the cost of running the water pump.
कॉस्टली मतलब मेरा मोटर का बिल भी बच गया और पानी भी बच गया.
In India's grape belt, better quality harvest also means the grape can be exported to the world's most lucrative markets. Thanks to the smart farming tool, these generation-old farms are successfully adapting to a rapidly changing climate, and the chances are much higher that their grapes won't be sour.
Imagine that a crop is ready to be harvested and the workers have started harvesting it by hand. But of course, this is a time-taking job and it'll take a few days. But one of these nights, it rains heavily and a majority of the crop is destroyed. This is especially common with fragile, high-value crops like berries. But what if robots were picking these berries? Wouldn't it be much faster and far more efficient? See for yourself.
This is what it looks like when robots harvest fruit. They pick much faster than human beings. Startups in Asia, Europe, Canada, and the US are springing up and developing machines that will be the farmers' helpers of the future.
These picking robots work fantastically. The machine doesn't get tired. The machine doesn't make any careless mistakes. And the machine's fitness doesn't change from day to day.
This strawberry harvesting robot is being used in Florida, a prototype that is still in the test phase. Until now, harvest workers from Mexico have picked the strawberries.
I can tell you it's a very hard job, and the fields need to be picked every 3 days. So the rule of thumb has always been you need one person per acre. So now with thousands of acres, you need thousands of people.
But in the last 20 years, fewer and fewer workers have been available, and the berries haven't been picked. The farmer has suffered huge losses. But necessity is the mother of invention. He hired a robotics engineer. Together, they developed a harvesting machine. It costs $700,000. But the farmers don't have to buy it. They borrow it for harvesting. The robot navigates autonomously through the rows. It's able to distinguish between humans and objects with the help of lasers.
We've got a number of patents. One of them is this patent that has a station keeping patent, which we're able to hold the position of the robotic picking deck while the machine continues to move at a slow pace. This wheel has a series of claws on it where the robots pick the berry, the wheel spins and another claw presents itself to pick the next berry. So we can go around a plant much faster and get to commercial speed because we can pick versus pick, move.
Robot technology is also being perfected in Europe. A Dutch company has invented a machine that makes harvesting asparagus faster and more efficient. This autonomous tractor for soil cultivation is also designed to make work easier. It could work completely independently day and night. One full tank of gas is enough. The development of agricultural machinery is often more advanced than that of autonomous cars. This is because much stricter rules apply to road traffic.
In farming especially, we've been driving autonomously since 2003, for instance. And that's correct, it's forbidden on the road. We're not allowed to use these systems there. But in the field we're allowed to, and the accuracy of the guidance is about, let's say, 2 to 5 centimeters.
To ensure that no humans or animals are injured, autonomous machines in the field must be equipped with GPS, infrared camera systems, heat sensors, and distance measurement sensors, which can recognize the environment. This small solar cell-powered robot moves slowly across the field, weeding, a job that would otherwise require up to 20 helpers. Organic farmers use it to save on pesticides. It could also be further developed for fertilizing, spraying, and planting. It may soon be impossible to imagine harvesting fields without robots.
Crop losses are a major problem with agriculture because input costs are constantly rising, but the profits are declining. But we met a farmer in the south of India who is running his business at next to no expense. His input costs are covered by the outputs of his farm. And that is because he is following the tradition of combining planting rice with fish farming. Let's take a look.
This modest farm in the state of Tamil Nadu is thriving in unexpected ways. Fish ponds are being transformed into rice paddies and back again, and the fish are visibly thriving.
See this gold sheen on the fish. Fish reared in other ponds that are given feed, they don't have that sheen.
One secret is the protein-rich algae that also grows in the ponds. When it's consumed by the fish, they excrete ammonia, which is then converted into nitrogen, and that plays a vital role in rice growing.
Since we have been feeding algae to the fish, they have been turning out as nutritious and tasty as fish from the sea. This small quantity of algae can grow extensively within just 15 days. 50 kilos of algae soon proliferates into 5 tons. When I first began fish farming, the fish suffered from too much sunlight, but the algae protects them.
After 4 to 5 months, when the fish have consumed about 90% of the algae, they are large enough to be harvested.
I breed different types of fish, from carp and rohu to potla and murrel. We sell the fish at a retail price of 170 rupees. That's almost 2 euros per kilo. We have a weekly catch of 300 kilos of fish. That's about 1 ton per month that I can produce here on my 12 acres of farm. I am earning up to 10 lakh rupees a year. That's 11,000 euros.
Ponaya's method is completely organic. He doesn't use any chemical fertilizers and pesticides. This allows him to keep his costs down. His method is known as zero-budget natural farming.
A normal farmer would spend 20,000 rupees, 220 euros per acre, but earn just 10,000 rupees. But with integrated farming, I have no expenses because the waste of one crop functions as a fertilizer for another.
Ponaya traveled all over India learning about this farming method. In India, some 20 million hectares of farmland would be suitable for this form of circular economy. But for now, it's practiced on about just 1% of that area.
In this 1 acre, I do both paddy farming and fish farming. After harvesting the fish, we turn it into a paddy field. and there is no need for fertilizer and pesticides for the paddy crops. Last year, along with two other farmers, I purchased the paddy variety ADT54. I spent only 550 rupees and they spent 22,000 rupees for farming the same crop. And during the harvest, their farms yielded 30 sacks and I got 25 sacks. So they earned 4,500 rupees. My earnings from the 25 sacks were a profit.
Improved yields, lower costs. Punaya often recommends the rice fish system to other farmers. The method also has environmental benefits.
If we keep on farming using chemicals, it would be the end of the world. Every farmer should switch to integrated farming. It's beneficial for both farmers and consumers.
The meat industry is heavily responsible for planet warming emissions. And while almost all of you watching this show must really care for the environment, but to completely change your diet for it might not be the easiest choice. Also, is going vegan the surefire solution? Or maybe mock meats are better? But when it comes to food on our plates, what is best for the environment? Let's watch our next story to get a few answers.
Could this be the food of tomorrow? Tim Fronzek, CEO of a Berlin-based startup, is positive. His favorite steak consists of nothing but oil, herbs, and a particular type of fungus.
Love it.
The entrepreneur is vegetarian.
I stopped eating meat when I realized how much it influences my carbon footprint 3 years ago.
But globally, meat consumption is at an all-time high. It's almost doubled over the past 60 years and continues to rise. Wealthy nations take the biggest chunk. The average German eats about 52 kilograms of meat per year. Way too much, according to researcher Lina Partsch.
So it is impossible to nourish the whole world based on a Western diet, with a lot of meat every day. This means that countries like Germany need to change their consumption.
But meat is also gaining popularity in countries that traditionally consume a predominantly vegetarian diet. India, Pakistan, and sub-Saharan regions of Africa are generating significant growth in meat consumption because of increases in both their population and income. The problem is, the meat industry drives climate change. Livestock farming emits 15% of all greenhouse gases created by human activity. Many believe cutting meat out of our diets is a simple way to cut emissions. But is it that simple? At a food fair in Berlin, visitors seem reluctant to fully embrace plant-based alternatives.
Yeah, no. Technically, we only eat meat twice a week, but we know we should really make more of an effort.
Essentially, I'm in favor of the idea, but I'm not strong enough to go full vegan.
Yeah. Why not? We all eat too much meat anyway. At least I do.
Around the corner, enticing new products are on offer, such as this vegan kebab, made from soy.
The shape is a bit different, and so is the color, but all in all, it's tasty, just like our regular kebab.
It's good. You can tell that it's not meat, but it doesn't taste weird.
It's a bit greasy, a bit gloopy too, but it still tastes good.
Too much seasoning, an unusual consistency, just not the real thing. Substitutes still have a long way to go to please meat eaters' palates.
It's difficult to change from 100 to 0. So meat alternatives are maybe an in-between. I think they are substitutes that will stay. Because it means we don't really have to change our overall diet fundamentally.
But just because it's vegan doesn't guarantee it's green. Many meat alternatives have a considerable carbon footprint. Others need a lot of water, energy, and space to cultivate. And some are not yet approved for consumption. Back in the lab, Tim Fronzek and his team are one step ahead. EU regulators have already declared the fungus safe to eat. It's cultivated in water enriched with a nutrient solution. Add oxygen and let it bubble for 2 to 3 days, and it's ready to be harvested. The water is recycled for the next batch of fungi. Frontex is working with food companies to test the material.
We are providing producers of animal-free products, not only meat, but it's a good example, with an ingredient that comes with a comparable taste and texture, brings comparable nutritional values, is even healthier than animal material because it doesn't have any cholesterol, and that can be produced at a very low cost rate. So we are also able to provide it at a price that is competitive with animal-derived products.
To scale up, Frontex has joined forces with a local brewery. In the past, these vats were used to ferment beer. Now, they serve as breeding habitat for his fungi. Currently, he can harvest 1 ton per day, the equivalent of 6,600 steaks. The business hasn't turned a profit yet. Maybe not surprising, as the market for meat alternatives in 2023 was worth less than 1% of animal meat revenues. Of course, Frontex expects rising demand.
The first revenues should probably come in within the next 3 months, give or take.
Big international companies are already eyeing the fungi to slim their list of artificial ingredients. It can be a substitute for the binding agent in ice cream or for eggs. From the lab in Berlin to the plate in your kitchen. Plant-based diets are a win for us and the planet. And even small food choices add up to big impacts.
If you ask me, I legit believe that humans were meant to pick berries, forage in the forests, cook slowly, and eat with a lot of joy and laughter. This must be the purpose of human life. But there is a chef on the Isle of Man who is living the dream, foraging into the forests and turning them into delectable and aesthetic platefuls of joy. So let's go meet her and ask her, how does she do all of this?
Just walking along and just seeing what there is and browsing the aisles. That for me is my supermarket.
Hi, my name's Pippa Lavelle. I'm the chef and owner of Restaurant Versa on the Isle of Man, and I'm going to show you how I forage my ingredients for the restaurant.
I moved to the Isle of Man just a couple of years ago. I actually came to open a different restaurant and just completely fell in love with the place and the foraging opportunities.
Ah, amazing. So I found some ground elder. So it's also called goutweed, and this is like a really herbaceous kind of parsley flavour. It's a nuisance for gardeners though. It's like really invasive and intrusive. The gardeners always try to get rid of it. I'll use this in the restaurant in many ways. It'll make a really nice oil for fish. I'm going to dry a load of this out and then just use it for seasoning stuff. As the tide goes out, different seaweeds become available. This is called gutweed. It's really like slimy. It looks kind of unappealing and unappetizing, but actually once this is washed a few times and then dehydrated, it goes such a bright, beautiful green. It doesn't taste like seaweed, it tastes like the sea.
I will never leave the Isle of Man. It's a UNESCO biosphere. Everything just grows in abundance and it's just so biodiverse. It's just insane. So in regards to opening Versa, I just wanted to start something that was solely about the ingredients nature has to offer. I'm not going to use ingredients from here, there and everywhere. If it's not available, it's not available.
So just to round off the tasting menu this evening, we've got some meadow sweet cookies, and then we have some foraged black currants on top, just with a little bit of local cream.
I think it's really important to show people what nature has to offer and what it is about, so that then they respect it and they want to look after it. So I really think that in the restaurant trade, sustainability should be at the heart of everything we do now, because fundamentally, the one thing to me that everybody has in common is that everybody has to eat, and it's something we can all share.
Are there any innovations in agriculture around where you live? Do let us know. You can email us or reach out to me directly on my social media handles on Instagram and X. I will see you next week. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Namaskar.